Welcome to the Long Run. I'm Joel.
And I'm Christy.
What are we doing today?
Today we want to tell you something that you need to do for your family today if you have not already done it.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, so this actually was something that we wanted to talk to you about because recently my brother passed away and we did, come into a few little problems that we had to deal with, and it would have been really good had he been prepared. I understand he was only 55 years old, so I'm sure that he thought he had time left, but we have no guarantee for tomorrow. This is something that you need to do today so that if something happens to you, no matter what your age is, your family isn't running around like making thousands of phone calls trying to figure out things that if you just prepared a little bit for them, they would be able to find the answers really easily. So this is to make life easier on your family if something happens to you.
That's right. So you want to kind of explain kind of what happened? I
Okay.
think you kind of already did that, but let's...
we haven't gone into any detail.
Sure.
Obviously, things were not prepared for him, and that's true. Okay, so one thing is to get a death certificate, you have to have the person's social security number. And because we were siblings and we didn't know what his social security number was. And so we called the person he lived with and we said, do you know his social security number? And they said no. And so then we were like, okay, could you just look for any tax documents or maybe paycheck stubs or something that would have that social security number written on it. And that person started looking and looking and looking, but it got right up to the point that we thought that the funeral home was going to have to do a request through, I guess for the
vital records. Yeah,
vital records request. To actually release that social security number to them, because without it, they couldn't file the death certificate. But right at the last minute, the person he was living with did call us and say, I found it. I found it on a document. But imagine how much easier it would have been if he'd have made sure someone knew his social security number. The second thing is that he was working full-time for a grocery store, and that grocery store, the employees there said everybody that works full-time here has life insurance, so we're sure he has a policy. And so one of the managers gave us the phone number to the corporate office and said, you'll have to take it up with them, though. They're the ones that'll have to tell you if he had one, because no one knew if he actually had a life insurance policy. And it's been 2 weeks since he passed away, and the corporate office still has not returned our phone calls. It goes to the same voicemail every time, and we're assured by the operator before she puts us into the voicemail that the person who's responsible for this in the HR department will call you back, I'm sure, in no time. And it's been 2 weeks and still no return phone call. We still have no idea whether or not he had a life insurance policy or not. So that was frustrating not to know. We did know that he did have a burial policy that my mother had set up for him a long time ago. So we did have some help there, but we still don't know if he had a life insurance policy, and that would have helped even more. So, that's the kind of things that we're going to talk about today, is the fact that if he had done a few little things that would have helped us know these kind of things instead of having to wait for somebody to return our phone calls, things like that. So let's talk about the things that we would suggest that you do right now, today, if you haven't already, just to make sure that your family is prepared. Okay.
And the number one thing is make sure that you have burial insurance or a life insurance policy.
Or both.
Or both, yeah. And also, on top of that, make sure that your family knows how to access that once you're gone. Because you're the only one who knows how to access that. Once you're gone, they're not going to be able to know how to do that. So make sure they know how to access it. You can buy burial policy fairly cheaply, and a little term life insurance policy pretty cheap, depending on your age and things like that. But term life insurance is fairly fairly cheap to get, so fairly inexpensive to get. So, and very important if you need it down the road. Yep.
Yeah, and make sure somebody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make sure someone knows whether or not you have these things, and how to, which we're going to get into that in a minute, but make sure they know how to actually access these accounts, and also if you have anything else like a retirement fund, things like that, let them know. Make sure that they know these things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Second is make sure that you have a will. If you don't have a will, you need to get one. Even if you're young, you should be doing this so that you can take care of any family members that you have. Your spouse, if you have children, you don't want your children to, not be the ones who benefit if you have anything left and it ends up in into the hands of the state or government or something like that. You want it to make sure that it's helping the people that you love the most.
Yep.
So make sure you have a will set up so that they don't have to go through a lot of legal stuff just to get what you have provided them.
That's right.
Or hoped to provide for them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then set up an SOP, that's a standard operating procedures, things that you do, daily or weekly or monthly that's going to need to be done after you're gone. So if you're the person that does all the bills in your family, then once you're gone, somebody else is going to have to take those over. They're going to need to know what bills you have, what checking account information, stuff like that, so they can continue to pay those and close those accounts out once you're gone. Also, like your social media accounts, make sure somebody has access to those so they can close those down.
Yeah.
My dad still has he's been gone almost 8 years now and still has his social media account on Facebook, just because nobody knows how to access it. And so I know we could probably petition Facebook with a death certificate and stuff like that, but you have to run through a lot of hoops to do that. So
I think that your sister turned it into a
memorial page?
Memorial page. I think that somehow she figured out a way to get Facebook to acknowledge that.
Okay, excellent.
But
anyway,
if you have the password, I'm sure it helps a lot.
Yeah.
And when I used to work as a financial secretary, we had that standard operating procedures. We called them SOPs. And the idea was if something happened to me, somebody knew how to pay the bills at the office, which I don't know. Some people might be offended by that. I'm not. Somebody needed to be able, like, if something happened to me, I don't want the company that I worked for just to fall and like they have to call 50 million companies saying this person died and she was the only one who knew how to do it.
Yep.
Like, so the thing that we had set up there was a binder that told how to access everything. And I had it so that the passwords were not in that binder. They were in a different location. But the people who needed to know that knew where both were. So if you are, preparing for your future and say you want to make sure that your spouse or the person you're living with knows where knows how to do all these things, that would, like from paying the mortgage to where the wheels are, to where the life insurance policies are, all the way down to this is my password for Facebook.
Yep.
Then make sure that they know somewhere that they can access all of that information, where they can go to find it, so that they won't be looking all over the place.
Yep.
You could have that in your house, or you could have like a safe deposit box in a bank.
Yep.
I think your dad did that,
Yep,
right? He had
did.
some stuff in a safe deposit box in a bank that only his children and wife knew where they were located.
Yep, that's right.
So that's one thing to think about. Like, you want to make sure, and if you don't want it like, I want everybody to be able to find it, like just stumble in my house and find a binder that has all my pertinent information. If you don't want it to be that way, that somebody can be nosy and find it, then consider something like that, like a safe deposit box in your house that's locked up, or in a bank, so it's even more steps that they have to go through to get to it.
Yep.
But something somewhere that shows everything that they need to know, all the way from the absolute most important stuff like wills and life insurance policies, all the way down to
Bank accounts and
bank accounts,
social media accounts, and
social
things
media
like that.
accounts, yeah.
Yep.
All of that.
All of that.
How to pay the electricity bill.
Yep.
And typically, it happens a lot with male and females. Like the husband might pay all the bills, or the wife might pay all the bills, and the other one doesn't have the foggiest clue how anything's being done. So you need to make sure that you all are on the same page. And this is one of the ways, but also talking about it in the present, so that you both know, like you both know where all the bills are being paid and everything like that. We have goal meetings every month, and the purpose of our goal meetings is so that we're both on the same page financially. And again, like I said, I know some people don't like to share finances, but I will say that even if you don't share finances, at least make sure someone knows where all of this stuff is, so that there's no big questions. And I'm sure that we're going to figure this all out with my brother. We did get the Social Security number done, and hopefully someday we'll know whether or not he had a life insurance policy. But I don't understand why it's taking so long to return a phone call.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But we hope that from actually sharing this experience with you, that it will kind of help you understand, or make you think, I need to stop fooling around. I need to get these things done.
Yep.
And that way, because like I said, he was only 55. You just never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, drop us some comments below and kind of let us know if you've gone through this before, things that have happened to you, some tips you might have for us for going through end of life decisions. We'd love to hear those in the comments below. But I think that's going to do it today for the long run. I'm Joel.
And I'm Christine.
And don't forget it's the long run. Give yourself a little grace.
Bye.